We were always told it might come to this. That one day, everything we ever knew could end.
It was a weaponized virus. One by one, we began to fall. People started tearing each other apart until society as we knew it collapsed.
There's an ordinary world.
It was a signal that the normal lives we led
Were gone.
We are activated as a last resort. We are the division.
We don't know how many of us there are,
or what it will take to save what remains.
but there is one thing we do know.
There cannot be any hope for tomorrow if we don't fight for today.
Alright, so that was the Tom Clancy Division trailer. Now, let's get this review started for the game. And to be quite honest, I just want to get this review done as quickly as possible so I can go back to playing the game. So, let's see. First of all, we're going to start out by saying my expectations before I went into this game so you understand the perspective I'm coming from as a reviewer. I wasn't very excited for The Division. I'm going to be quite frank. I was looking forward to different games like Doom, for example, Deus Ex this year, other stuff. I was really excited about this stuff. I thought this was going to be an average. They were banking on the whole loot grinding system and stuff like that. That was my perspective coming in. I got it because a lot of my friends wanted to play it. So I was like, okay. The funny part is I out-leveled all my friends and hit the max level. So here's now my state in the game where I'm at. So you know how much I've played of the game. I have done all the story missions. I have done all the side quests. I have reached max level. I have basically a whole set of purples and now trying to get the high-end gear. I am rank 20 in the Dark Zone, so I've spent quite a bit of time in the Dark Zone and understand how it works. I played the beta a lot too, so I did really understand how it was going. And I've done most of the collectibles, and like I think I already said, my base of operations is 100% complete. So I've done all of this stuff you can do by yourself, essentially. Now that I'm in the end game, I've done some of the end game, so this is why I was waiting. I saw these day 1 reviews and day 2 reviews, and I'm like, they could not judge the game because they didn't complete the story. I highly doubt they did. The missions are actually quite long. And we'll get into this. So the first thing I want to start with is the graphics, okay? And I just want to say that those people who say that the graphics don't look as good as the E3 trailer, you need to fuck off. You really need to. Don't say, oh, the graphics are downgraded since E3. You guys are such... you guys don't understand how game development works, okay? Now, there are some cases you can be mad. Like, for example, Colonial Marines. Aliens Colonial Marines. You guys remember that? That was an extreme lie, okay? Not only did they lie to their publisher on how the game was going to be, but they also lied to everyone how the game was going to be. But The Division did not lie to you how the game was going to be, okay? Because here's the thing. Here, let's go into the graphics here. They look good. They look fantastic. And this trailer right here is a pretty solid representation of how the graphics look, by the way. This is how they look in game. The textures are really good. The world has reflective lighting. The fire effects are actually really good as well. But here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. This game runs at 60 FPS for me on my Xbox One. No frame rate drop. No frame rate drop at all. Like, the frame rate drop happens when server lag happens once in a while, but that's really not a big of a deal. Like, I've never really seen like, oh shit, it's stuttering because we're in a huge combat situation. That never happens in this game, which I'd rather take over looking extremely fancy and being a technical mess. Okay, so I personally think that is a plus, but the graphics still look good. They are still believable. Okay. And I think that people should not judge the game on that. And also, guys, there is like no loading times. You load up the world one time, and that's it. You play, going from section to section in all of the city, whether it's going into the dark zone, going into a different district of the city. There is no load time. The only time you have load times is when you join a friend's game, because it loads up his world state. So it has to reload up the world. But other than that, there is no load times. And you and your friends, once you join up, you guys will never see another loading time again. Unless, of course, you get lagged out of the server or something. But that's because it's loading the world back up. That's it. That's all it is. And I think that's a plus. The graphics are good. I would say I would give the graphics in this game a 10 out of 10. They do their job. They do their job. They sell the world. They're believable. Very immersive and atmospheric. Great use of fog and lighting effects. There is dynamic lighting in this game. And it's there and it shows. You know, so then that's my take on the graphics. So the next thing. Now, I will be making a lot of comparisons here to Destiny. And for those of you who say it's unfair for this to be reviewed to Destiny, well, you're probably a Destiny fanboy who's very afraid of Destiny being knocked off. You know, because the Destiny now, the game is the same genre as Destiny. It is the same type of game. Okay? Let me tell you that. It is the same type of game. It's like comparing Call of Duty to other arena-based first-person shooters. It is just like that. Okay, so those of you who are, like, I've seen a lot of my friends who play Destiny still, and they're afraid to play this game because they're afraid it's going to knock it off its throne. That's how Destiny players have been thinking recently. They are afraid that this game, well, let's find out if it's going to do that, but I will be making comparisons to Destiny, and you can see my Destiny review, but it's quite old, and Destiny has changed in like 4 expansions since that review, you know, so just keep that in mind. So let's take a look. And also, I have the Taken King and have played through the entire Taken King of Destiny, okay? So I've played I've been in recent Destiny today, okay? So let's get into this. Now, the first thing I noticed was the character customization. Now, this part of the game is complete ass. I'm sorry, Ubisoft, you really dropped the ball on character customization. You can't customize your face. There's only 7 heads to choose from, and depending on the head you choose, you get locked out of facial hair choices, certain aesthetic choices to your face. You don't get to pick some things because you picked a different head. Okay, this is terrible. There's only 7 heads. Now, I'm not asking you to make a Fallout 4 character customization, okay? But come on. At least Mass Effect character customization. Let's go. Come on. Like, really, this is 2016. You know? Let's get with the program here with the character customization, because it's quite atrocious. Okay? Secondly, in character customization, you get to pick accessories like piercings, glasses, but if you pick something like glasses, you can't take them off. Ever. So be careful when picking glasses, because make sure you really love those pair of glasses, because if you don't, fuck you. So, there we go. Next. I would say after you get past the character customization, we go into the gameplay. Okay, now this is where the review is going to take a while to explain the gameplay. So The Division is a third-person shooter set in New York, and so I guess we should probably go over presentation first before the gameplay. So yeah, it's a third-person shooter set in New York. The concept is it's based on the Tom Clancy novel The Division: Fall of New York. I've read it before. I'm not sure if anyone else has out there, but it's based on that novel, and the idea is a terrible plague breaks out, and it kills like 99% of New York's population, and you're a division agent, you get activated, and it's your job to go in there and restore order. Okay, basically. And if you read a tooltip that pops up in when you're fast traveling or something, you read that tooltip, and it says basically the division's job is to go in and maintain continuity of government, aka restore order. So, and keep everything up to date. And that's the concept. That's the whole concept, and it becomes, an RPG loot shooter. Now, let's get into actually before we go to gameplay, let's get into the story here, because this is probably the best. One of the best things about the game is the story. Okay, the story is actually extremely well done. It is very Tom Clancy-like, and I think people don't give it the credit that it deserves. Like they say, oh, the story is meh. I think going into a Tom Clancy game and expecting a Mass Effect-like story is absolutely ridiculous. Having an epic scale of Dragon Age Inquisition is ridiculous expectation because a Tom Clancy game is very much down to earth. This is an RPG that is very much down to earth. Okay? It is very realistic from the gun sounds, the settings, the look around stuff. Everything is very realistic and down to earth, which actually plays into the game's favor because this is really refreshing to see in the RPG setting. Like even Fallout is not really down to earth. This is way more down to earth than Fallout. Very realistic in that sense of looks and storyline, okay? And the voice acting is well done. The characters all sell their roles and they're believable. You see, there may not be, Martin Sheen as the elusive man from Mass Effect in this game, but there is still these people who do their jobs do it well. Voice acting is everywhere. Every quest is voice acted. The main story has cutscenes, and the plot gets very interesting the more you go on to it. And when you complete the story, of course, since this is a multiplayer game, there's going to be a cliffhanger. So, like it's going to continue on through expansions, but this is not a Destiny shitty cliffhanger. This cliffhanger was like, oh man, I can't wait to see where this story is going to go. Because you learned, I'm not going to spoil there's not going to be any spoilers for the story, but if you really pay attention, pick up some audio logs here and there, which are really awesome storytelling situations. And hey, Bungie, if you're making Destiny 2, listen to this. When you want to have story and lore in your game, don't put in fucking Grimmer cards. Put in fucking audio logs if worst case scenario. And that's what the Division did. It put audio logs in so people can actually listen to the people, like people on a phone conversation, like, oh my god, they're coming through the door and you hear all this shit. Okay? And then they have these things called echoes, which is like Batman Arkham's, whatever, the Arkham series detective mode, where it makes like holograms around you of what happened there using security data from cameras, and you can actually investigate these scenes. Some of them actually have quests related to them, and these are awesome story builders. I mean, they are very well done. You could tell there was love and care put into each one of these scenarios. Okay? That's how you do lore building. So the storytelling, the lore building is very, very cool. Okay? That is very cool. The narrative it's good. Okay? Go in there expecting a multiplayer MMO-like story. Okay? That is what you have to do, and then grade it on that, and it does it very well. Okay? So far it's been pretty positive, so let's keep going. The next is the gameplay. Okay? This is probably the best part about the Division. Okay? In my opinion here. The game doesn't give you classes, which I am more for in my RPGs. I personally think classes limit a player to a certain playstyle forever, especially MMORPGs. Single-player RPGs, once you finish the playthrough, you're done with the playthrough technically if you want. But when you're playing a multiplayer game, your character is going to continue on for a very long time. And I always consider Destiny and this game to be what we call pseudo MMOs. And I say they're not full MMOs because they're not like one of those games where you'll turn the corner and see like 100 people just waiting in front of a vendor. That's never going to happen because that instancing is quite heavy in these games. But yeah, you get the point. So it basically is, there's no classes here. You you pick perks and no, you pick talents that you want, which are basically like perks, and then you pick abilities, and then you have little modifications to the abilities that you pick, and these are done through upgrading your base of operations. So I've actually played with all the abilities, so I've seen them. I mainly play as the medic of my crew, half medic, half support, fire support, which is basically my primary stat is firearms, which increases my weapon damage. So I do a lot of damage with my guns, but then right behind it is my electronics, which is my healing abilities, and basically I have all healing abilities across my panel, and I am like the medic of the squad. So, and we'll get into where this is more important later, but you get to really pick and choose. You may not, the character customization may have been shit at the start of the game, but god damn it, the customization in the game is fantastic. From the gameplay customization, like, the way you play, I saw, like, hybrid specs are very much viable, and this is awesome. My shield special, or my medic, feels extremely different from the medic next to me, which is so awesome, and that is very hard to pull off with only 6 abilities, and like 5 modifications for those abilities, which drastically change how those abilities work. Like, for example, if you're a damage guy and you have the turret, you can have like a machine gun turret, which is really nice for suppression and range, but then you can change it into a flamethrower turret, which is so awesome to see. And you can put it on a doorway, and when enemies come through this doorway, they start getting burned, and it's an awesome setup for your team to really bring the fire down on them. And they can't do anything because they're burning, which is real interesting. So the gameplay in terms of character customization and character progression is really good in gameplay. Not the beginning when you're making your character, but the actual combat creation of your character. Another thing I thought was very well done was the shooting. It's first you feel like it's shit is what you feel like at first, because this is what happens in the beginning of the game. This is for all these new players. Your guns are gonna have a lot of recoil. Let's just be real, because you're not gonna have really awesome attachments like grips that increase your stability by like 18%. You'll get like these 3%, 4%, and those are like so minuscule changes. But now when I reach the end game, my guns have like no recoil, because they actually have got attachments that fix this, and they all do different things. And by the way, in terms of the customization, all your guns can be extremely customizable. Muzzles, mags, what else? Grips, underbarrel grips, and scopes, and these actually affect the stats of the gun. Okay, a muzzle suppressor doesn't mean you don't show up on the radar. A muzzle or a suppressor could actually mean you do more weapon damage based on it, and it's very fun fine-tuning your gun to where it fits your perfect tolerance of recoil, but also firepower and effectiveness. And the better the attachments that you have on it, like greens, blues, like typical RPG rarities, the better rarity type attachments you have on it, it actually increases the damage of the gun. So this encourages you to take your gold weapon, which is high end in this game, the highest you can get rating, and putting more gold attachments on it, and then boom, you actually have a very powerful gun. Okay, and this is very exciting because it makes everything doable. So the shooting will get better as you go along game. Towards mid-game, like around level 25, which is you're reaching that level 30 threshold for content, I found the enemies became very difficult in good and bad way. So I'm just going to go over the factions that you fight in this game. In the first like 3/4 of the game, you're fighting rioters, which are just basically look like gangsters in the street. They're rioters, okay? They're upset. They're not really criminals, okay? But, it's chaos, so they're trying to survive. Then you have the cleaners, which are the biggest assholes, and these are basically people who believe that they have to kill everyone by burning them with flamethrowers that are infected. They believe they have to wipe out the infected to cure to stop the disease from spreading. Then you got the Rikers, which are just prisoners that escape from Riker prison. And as these enemies I'm saying in order, they actually get more well equipped. Okay, so, and then you have the LMB, the Last Man Battalion, and I'll let you in the story figure out more about them because they are very interesting, and I highly recommend searching for audio logs about them. And this is where the game gets difficult. When you start hitting the mid-20s, you start dealing with this Last Man Battalion. And they are like fighting players. They have every ability that you have as a player, they have. They have healing stations, healing pods, engineered turrets, which is really cool because they don't become easy. Because I remember in Destiny, for example, the enemies become extremely easy at the end game. And anything I did, they weren't very smart. But the enemies in this game are very smart, and it makes them brutal sometimes to fight. Especially towards the end game, they start getting smarter because not only do they get more numbers and become a lot spongier, which is I'll get into a second, but they actually put pressure on you. I felt the enemy really understood when they needed to push and when they didn't. And I thought that was very interesting. I don't know what coding is done in the back, but to me it was extremely interesting on how that was done. And now the sponginess is where it gets bad. Okay, this is where it gets real bad. Sometimes the enemies are way too spongy, way too spongy, and that just see, the game, like I said, was so down to earth, but then you have these extremely spongy enemies, and it pulls you out of the immersion right away when you put like 4 mags into a dude and he's not dead. And when I say 4 mags, I got really good at headshotting. I'm saying like more than half my clip is hitting his head, and then the rest is hitting his neck or chest, based on the spread. And I'm like, and you can tell when you're getting headshots, because the numbers are red. The damage numbers that fall off, they're red when you get a headshot. And I see all these reds, and the dude is just not dying. Which, as I started getting more powerful weapons, it goes away a little bit. It really does. It goes away. I was able to kill 2 or 3 dudes in 1 mag rather than just 1. So that comes to basic enemies. And then the bosses take a lot more. But if you focus fire with the team, they go down pretty quick. Clearly, the enemies were designed for you to have teammates with you. Because if you play it solo for most of the time, like I did, personally, and wow, I played it solo and I enjoyed the game this much. When you play it solo, you can clearly tell the enemies were designed for multiplayer. They were designed for 2 dudes focusing down a boss. Because if 2 dudes are focusing down a boss, that cuts that mag count in half, so you basically killed a boss in 2 mags together, So, yeah, so keep that in mind. Now, here comes the next big thing. And that is, how fair is the RNG system? Now, I'm all for RNG, okay? I'm all for it, but I'm not Destiny RPG, all RNG for it, okay? Because, see, RNG always has to be in the favor of the player. Okay, let's be serious. This is not Las Vegas. This is a video game that we purchased and brought into our house. It is not gambling. It is not that, okay? I think a lot of gamers need to get that straight. They think RNG is fun because it's all random and stuff like that, and it keeps everyone on the same level. It really doesn't, okay? It's just really stupid, Like, if I played for 10 hours, and my friend just got on and played for an hour and got all this gear, and I didn't get anything, that pissed me off, okay? That is stupid. Because I'm putting my time and effort into a game, I should be rewarded. It's like going to work every day and maybe getting paid at the end of the day. That's not how life works. That's not how games should work. Okay? But I am for RNG where it's fair. Okay? Where like you are bound to get something in 2 hours, 3 hours. Okay? You have to get something. And this is where Division kicks ass. For games who want to make this share world shooter genre with this RNG type style Borderlands system, basically pseudo MMO, this is how you do it. The Division, this is how you do it. The Division is always giving you loot drops all the time, and it's awesome. And then you break down stuff to craft weapons. So here's it goes. So let's say RNG gods have shunned you and hate you, and they're not blessing you with anything. Well, that's okay, because the rewards that you get from playing, like money, crafting materials from breaking down the shit you don't want, selling the shit you don't want to get more money, you can use these to buy actually good weapons in the game. So, like, let's say you don't get a purple for a long time, and you're really pissed off. Oh, I don't have a purple, this is gay, all my friends are getting it. You know what? Guess what? You can go to the vendor and buy a purple gun. That is really good and just as good as their loot drops, and that is awesome. So even if RNG is sucking, you have ways of getting stuff, either through crafting or through vendors, and all the vendors level with you. So if you're level 25, all the vendors in the game will become level 25 to you. So you can buy level 25 purples, you can buy level 25 golds once you get the special vendor packs. When you upgrade your base, you can actually unlock by putting vendors and crafting material farm locations inside your base, which is awesome. And the base actually changes in appearance, which is also really cool. And you get to you get these awesome vendors in your base, from cosmetics to guns to special armament. You get all these different vendors to fill your needs. Even the Dark Zone vendor, even though those are often at Dark Zone checkpoints, you can actually put one in your base, so you don't have to go all the way to a checkpoint to check that out. So this is awesome. This is how you do RNG. You know, even if the player is not being blessed by the gods by RNG, which actually for me, when you start hitting level 30, like purples start dropping all the fucking time. It is awesome. And that's how it should be, because greens and blues, the developers, I feel, knew that greens and blues were useless to a level 30. They knew it. Okay, and it's stupid when you do that. Like, it's not a Destiny Cryptarch. This game is fair to you. You will be rewarded and you will enjoy it. Okay, if you like games, like if you still like loot-based games, the loot is very fair, okay? And that's what's really cool about the game, and that was really the main selling point. Like, that's what I wanted to see, because that was my main killer for me in Destiny. The RNG system was so unfair in Destiny, in my opinion. It is really unfair, and I don't know how those people who play Destiny do it. I don't know how my friend goes through 4 or 5 raids and gets one piece of gear when his buddy did the same thing and got like 5. That's not fair. And another thing I've noticed is there is no such thing as the best gear in this game. That's what I love about it, because even armor that you put on yourself can be modded to tweak its stats. And it has that Diablo style thing, I believe, where you can like take a piece of armor and put it in this machine, and I think it's called like recalibrated or something, and it randomizes the stats again. So it's like, let's say you really this weapon or this piece of armor has really nice armor rating, but you don't like the firearms, stamina, and electronic stats. Then you can throw it in this machine and keep randomizing it until you get what you want, which is awesome. But it does cost you in-game currency, like, that you earn from doing missions and stuff. But that's perfectly fine. That is awesome. And the prices it can get a little high over time, but it's designed so where, it keeps going, and if you really fall in love with that piece of armor, you can keep modifying it, and you can put mods into it yourself that increase your firearm, electronics, and stamina. Okay? And these stats, trust me, just read up what they do in game. I don't really need to have a stat breakdown here, but just really look into it, and you'll realize that these stats, one, really affect your gameplay style, and they are awesome to tweak, because when you get really high-end guns in the game, you'll have perks on these guns, and these perks require a certain amount of stats to be activated. You can still use the gun and all its damage and stuff, but there'll be a perk that says has 10% headshot damage to suppressed enemies, increased damage. But you need 500 firearms and 300 electronics to make this perk work. So what happens is, what I think is going to start happening as more people start hitting the max level, is they're going to find gear with perks that benefit them personally and their playstyle, which I really notice that some of these perks are more inclined to certain types of players, and they're going to tweak their stats to where these perks will be active instead of stacking stats. Because one thing I'm really afraid of right now, and this is one of my fears for the game, is if people start stacking, let's say for example, health. They just stack up health with all their mods, and they have riot shields and shields as their spec. Now I understand that this person won't be able to do a lot of damage, but the way they are tanky will be no fun to fight. Those fights would be, and then they have healing abilities and a shield ability. That's going to be irritating, because everyone has med kits, at least as a basic, even though you only have 5 at maxed, I think. Still, that's no fun to fight. Let's just be real honest. But I feel that this system might not allow people to do that, because if you have perks that give you such a huge damage boost where there's a player who is not well balanced in his stats, you will absolutely obliterate him, because you will out DPS him. So, it's very much an RPG, guys. Remember that when going into this game. It's an RPG. This is not just a shooter. Okay, this is actually, for the first time ever, I can't believe this. This is an RPG first and a shooter second. Remember that. this is more of an RPG than Fallout 4 is. Okay, Fallout 4 was less of an RPG. This game has more customization than Fallout 4, and you will be very appreciative to see this. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm really enjoying this game. I really am. It's got good story, awesome collectibles that add to the story, which is really nice to flesh out the world even more. Great atmospheric setting, well done. Every part of the city feels like it was handcrafted. Level design is very good. The missions that you do, the big missions that you do with your friends, are fun when you have a four-man friends, and the game is challenging towards the end for all sorts of things. Even the daily quests are challenging. I don't believe there's any raids in the game. I didn't see any raids or anything. If someone has seen them, oh, please leave a comment, because I'd be glad to go play those raids. But even if a raid is there and it's missing, well, this is like what the 95% of the game is what I just explained. The quests are all well done. The side quests are fun. The random encounters are fun. The game doesn't feel like a chore to play, and for me, it's just really fun. And I've seen a lot of praise going across YouTube for this game, and I agree with the praise. This game has a lot of love. I'm so glad that they delayed it. The 2 betas helped. The game is fairly stable, very few bugs. I've heard some people have some really issues with bugs, and getting, the worst bug I've had is getting lagged out of the game, which is not even a bug. That's just a server-side issue, probably of the sheer amount of players playing the game. And it's just a really good game, guys. This game deserves, I think, your purchase and your try if you're interested in RPG loot-based multiplayer shooters. And what's really nice is the co-op in the game feels very much like Borderlands in our world. That's what it would be like. It's really nice because you and your 4 friends can get together and play it like a co-op game. It doesn't force MMO-like mechanics down your throat, which is what I love, and you can still reach the high-end gear without doing those MMO bullshit, is what I like to call it. Because this game takes the best things about MMOs. Unlike Destiny. Destiny took the worst thing about MMOs and put them in your face. This game takes the best things about MMOs, like loot-based, fair loot-based grinding, fun co-op missions, challenging AI. It's got really interesting and integrated PvP, much like the DayZ games, where you can, I say DayZ game, not games, but you get where the Dark Zone is this cutthroat location where the best loot in the game is, they say, and you can kill other players and steal their loot, and then you have to try to extract the loot out, and once you extract it, it's yours, thank God, which I love. It's like, it finds that fine line between being hardcore and not hardcore, and then you see like a community really start building around the game. Like, you see raid parties and hunting parties for loot, then you see the assholes, but you know what, assholes are in our world and they're in this world, and I love how the game emphasizes that through its story and gameplay in the Dark Zone, and the Dark Zone for rogue agents actually has a story, so just keep in mind and keep looking, just take your time with the game. You'll hit 30 pretty quick just going mission to mission. Just take your time, enjoy the game, enjoy the setting, explore. There's a lot of buildings you can go inside and find things in. And it's a jewel of a game. It is a jewel of a game. This is a game that I feel can actually last for a long time. It's got good story, free content updates coming out. The season pass is actually reasonable. It's $40, which is only what one expansion for Destiny costs is $40. It's going to come with 3. I believe like already on the store they have 2 packs of cosmetics for $5 that give you like cool looking little clothing. These have no stat effects. There's actually a difference between gear that actually affects your stats and cosmetic gear. So this game those only have cosmetic gear on how you look. I feel if they keep this into check, it will be okay. Like, I don't want it to become like Star Wars The Old Republic, where all the new cosmetic gear goes onto the store and none of it gets put in the game, not even in the expansions, So I want them to actually find a balance. I could find like some cool stuff like a ghillie suit, for example. You're really not going to find a ghillie suit in New York City. That's why you can pay extra money. And we have to understand as players, they need money to run this game. Let's be real. But you know what? I've enjoyed the game enough. I think I'm going to buy the $5 Marine pack because I want my character to look like a Marine, And I'm a big nerd, dude. I RP my characters. I give them backstory and roleplay and purpose. So my guy is like an ex-military and private contractor medic. That's his RP. And then he does that. Like, I love helping the civilians. I feel like a hero, and the way you can change your base, you feel like you're making a difference in New York. And it looks good, guys. It's a good game, and I'm not hyping this up. No one paid me to say this. It's better than Destiny in just about every way. Every issue you had with Destiny is about addressed here. Size, there's actually a huge New York to explore. It's open-ended. You know, it is open-ended. You just go running around, do what you want, with your friends, and like it's open. There's no hubs. Like, oh, look at this. This is your box. This is Earth. That's not Earth, dude. That's like freaking one building. It's not like that. It is the entire. It's a pretty solid 1-to-1 scale in New York. It's as best as the game, I believe, can portray it. You have Times Square. You got. I believe there's a park in. I don't want to say it's Central Park because I don't know for sure. I didn't read it. I'll figure that out. But you got Times Square. You got certain. I believe there was a street called Wall Street. If I was incorrect, just correct me. But you got some landmarks you can go to, basically. I don't live in New York, so I've only been there like twice in my whole life. But it was kind of cool because I saw this building that was clearly supposed to be the Microsoft store, and I went to the Microsoft store in Times Square, which I thought was interesting. But this is a good game. It's not a chore to play. It's not a grind to play. It's fun, solo, with your friends. Obviously, it's a little bit better with your friends. Time to give it a score. As you can see, I had pretty much all praise in this game. There was never a moment in this game where I said, I hate this fucking game. This fucking game sucks. There was never this moment ever came across to me, and it shows. There's love, there's care, and frankly, I think it's great. It's fantastic how it's done. And it's like, it's just, the score I want to give it, okay, if you're playing solo, I would give this an 8 out of 10. Okay? Because when you play with friends, like I did both, solo and with friends, it just shoots up here, man. The fun value even goes higher. But an 8 out of 10 is still damn good. It's a very good game. And I copy I like to call it the Angry Joe system of rating games, where 5 is average, and 6 is above average, and etc., etc. 8 is a very good game on that scale, because 5 to me is a 50-50. So, but this game is not 50-50. There's something for everyone here. Single player people will love playing through the story, and I think they'll love enjoying the audio logs and stuff you pick up as you go along and stuff like that. I think they'll enjoy the fleshed out world, and they'll enjoy, I think, the co-op even too, with some of their buddies. Then co-op people have a lot to enjoy here. And then even the PvPers, those guys who've been wanting something on the console specifically, like a DayZ style game, or people like me who wants a DayZ style game, but they don't like it. I don't like it when the game goes too hardcore. I'll admit, I don't like playing the DayZ game because I feel it's too hardcore for me in terms of when you lose all your shit when you die. After like the 5th week of playing that game, it was not appealing to me anymore. But I like how this game found a balance between that. It was a balancing act, and I think that's a good thing. So with friends, I would say it's got to be like a 9.5 out of 10. And the reason why I give it a 9.5 and not a 10 out of 10 is because there's been people who have problems with the game, like, some bugs and etc. like that. So I want to keep in mind that there are cases of bugs and stuff. I personally did not run into any. All my quests work. I never fell through the ground. I never clipped through the wall. I saw texture pop in maybe like 3 times. Maybe I was just fortunate to have such a great gaming experience with it, but that's why I say 9.5, because I can't really say, but then I do understand that it's out there. Maybe lowest a 9 out of 10. If some people feel that it's up there. It's up there. It may not be a 10 out of 10, but the game has potential to grow. And if Ubisoft does it right, if they keep treating the fans with respect like they did with this game, then not only are Clancy fans going to be happy with this game, but the story mode was good. The game doesn't feel like a stupid cash grab. It has the microtransactions are just strictly cosmetic packs, and you know what you're getting. And I feel like if you love a game, if you're going to spend hundreds of hours in a game, you should have no problem dumping $5 for a pack of cosmetics to go through. And I'm personally in that belief. You should have no problem with that. Especially knowing how long this game has a life cycle of what it's predicted to be. So, yeah, so I'm going to leave you with those. I would say it's a pickup, and I know this is a long review, but it's real in depth on what the game is, and I feel this game was badass and still is badass. And I'm about to go and play it some more because I need to go in the dark zone and steal shit from people, stab people, leave them for dead, and to extract all their gear out and get out as quick as possible. So I hope you guys enjoyed the review. I want to get my Elgato working with my Xbox One, but something is wrong. But once I get it working, I'll let you know. I have a Twitch called Shabs45, and if the Elgato doesn't work for recording purposes, I'll just stream the game on there with me playing with some of my friends, and you guys can watch gameplay on there. If you want, just follow Shabs45 on Twitch. I just started it, so if you look at it, be like, oh, there's nothing on this account, it's because I really haven't used Twitch. You know, college can be a bitch. It's getting busy. Like, I got a midterm next week, which I'm preparing for. So, alongside playing The Division. But, yeah, so I hope you guys pick up the game and enjoy it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you guys felt about the game, and I'll see you guys next time. So, deuces.